Hello everyone, welcome to the tutorials on Python. In this series of tutorials, you will be able to start to learn Python from the very ground level up. We will start with very simple tutorials and then we will progress as we go along. So first chapter, what we're going to do is get our hands onto the programming language. We will start writing our very simple basic code to begin with. Before this, I'm assuming that you have already installed Eclipse and you have also set up Python PyDev as your interpreter to be able to execute the programs. Now what we're going to do is we will get into the first Python project, and this is where we will set up a project on Python on Eclipse. We will start writing a simple script, so it will be easy for you to understand how we go about, and then we will grow in complexity as we move along. And then we have few topics that we're going to cover as part of the first tutorials. We will look at something called as print statement. We will look at comments. I will introduce you to variables in a very basic manner to begin with. And then finally, we will end with raw underscore input. This is something that you will see how we can use after we see a little bit about variables. So that's the agenda for the first session. Let's quickly get into Eclipse and then we will start creating our first project. Out here, we will go to File, we'll say New, and create a project out here. So here, you will notice that, all right, so we're talking about PyDev project, and we're going to select PyDev, click on Next. And if you don't have the interpreter connected with it, and you try and type any name to the project, it won't take it. What you'll need to do then is cancel this, go under Eclipse, and you can choose something called as preferences. This is where you say where is the Python interpreter. Primarily it is an exe file, like an executable file, unless there is a way that your Eclipse can understand what we are writing as a code, be able to interpret it. It cannot run it. All right, so this is more like someone who's translating in between. So we need to say where it is, and that's primarily if you go under PyDev, if you click on interpreters and you select Python interpreter. This is currently empty, and that was the reason we are getting that red text saying that, hey, the interpreter is not found. So we need to find where the python.exe is. On my Mac, it is in the user bin folder. So I'm going to click on new. I'll just give it a name, Python. And here I'm going to say user/bin/Python. As soon as I write the correct one, the invalid interpreter should disappear from here. There you go. Now we can say OK. Once we've done that, all the related libraries and frameworks which you are not aware of currently, but you will eventually, will get loaded onto the project. Say OK and say OK. And give it a few seconds for it to finish loading those. Now let's go back to File, New, just a plain project. Now you'll be able to select and say PyDev and say Next. Now let's give it a name. I'm going to call it as PyTutorial1. So no longer is it saying that, hey, I cannot recognize this specific interpreter for this. Now we're going to click on Finish. Leave everything else as is. Let's click on Finish. This is basically, the perspective is something to do with the view. What kind of an outline we will have, where should be the package explorer, what will be on the right side, and so on. So this you could choose and then customize it as you go about. Now let's expand the PyTutorial1, which is a project. Under this, there is only one folder right now called as Python. This is where the interpreter has come from. Now we're going to right click on this, say New, and a folder called as the source folder. So the name for this folder is src. This is primarily the folder under which all the simple programs, all the big programs that we'll create, whatever you will do towards the tutorials, we will put them all under this source folder. So we have our Python project. Under this, we have the source folder. Inside this, we will create our first Python script or program. So to do that, I have to go to right click again and go to New and select File. Or you could also do it from the main menu, File, New, File. Here is where you have to be a little careful in terms of what you give as a name. So I'm going to call this as prog1, basically py program 1 dot py. Make sure that for every file that you create, which is a Python program, you end that with an extension called .py for Python. And then just click on finish. Just accept all the checks that it wants to perform and say OK. And now you have the, since PyDev is a program that is run out of more like an open source, you have an option to contribute to it. I'm going to click on show later, so that way we have an opportunity to go back and do something to them. So right now we have our first program, which is all blank. Whatever we write here, like hello, all right, how are you, whatever you want, is all specifically you're writing something in English and it needs to get recognized by the interpreter. So your Python program follows a specific standard. You cannot go about writing whatever you wish to. You have to be very specific on it. So we start with simple things like a print statement. Every word, every line of code or anything you write in the program will have to mean something. It will have to do something. What it does will be the output of it when you run the program. So one of the simplest ones is print, and let's say welcome to itelearn.com. What this does is there are two parts to it. The first part, if you see, is highlighted in blue. The second one, which I have in quotes, is highlighted in green. Did I choose the colors while I was typing it right now? No. Then how did it come? Primarily, there are certain words called as keywords that have been predefined, have a meaning in the programming language of Python. And once you call them or use them, it will do a certain activity. This one, as soon as I take my mouse over it, it will show me what this will do. Whatever I give in the quotes, which is in the green color, will automatically get printed in an output stream when you run it. So without any further delay, I'm going to first save this by clicking on save, and we're going to run the program. We're going to choose Python run and say OK. Now what happens is, as soon as we execute something, that specific line has come here. So what has come here? Welcome to itelearn.com. What did not come here? You didn't see the print word, you didn't see the quotes. So whatever is there within the quotes will come up. This is Karthik. And now if I save it again and rerun it, so what happens? You write a code, then you can overwrite or edit a code, change it, and as you do execution of it, you will see the new output keeps coming out. All right. What is the place where you see this output? As soon as you give a print statement, the output comes where? It comes under the section called as console. In your Eclipse, you will see console here, and you will see the output of a program coming here only because we give a print statement. Now, you will notice one more thing, that each line is getting printed in a new line. Print, this is not to be printed. Now, what will happen? Think about it for a second. As soon as I execute this, it will print welcome to itelearn.com. It will print this is Karthik. Will it print the third line? Of course it will. Irrespective of what I write inside here, it will print that. So you can do anything inside it, doesn't matter, and it's gonna print that. So save and run. You see this? Welcome to itelearn.com. This is Karthik. This is not to be printed, and some junk piece of text. Now, why did I say the third line to be this is not to be printed? So that I can show you what a comment is. In a programming language, you will start with the top and keep going one line after the other and execute it. When I say you, the programming language, when you run the code. In certain cases, you don't want some lines to be printed. Why you don't want? Either you're changing the program, your new program does not require that statement to be printed, or you want to write some code. You want to write some text, just like reference. This is my first Python program. All right. So any text that you don't want it to get executed, all right? But you want it to be present in the code so that you can look at it, read it, but you don't want to run it, is called as a comment. Just like your comments, like so small simple notes, you're going to keep them. Now let us save this and see what will happen, team. You will see, welcome to IT Learn. This is Karthik. What was not supposed to be get printed, it is there. And you can use any number of comments as you want in the code. All right. So that is a very fundamental basic concept that I wanted to show you. It's one of the first programs. So here is what it is. Now, I want to show you something called as raw underscore input. But before that, we will need to understand a simple concept about variables. This is programmed like this. So let's leave it like that. Let's go to new and I'll call this as a file. I will call this as py program 2. And I will say this is variables dot py. Remember, don't forget to put the dot py. So now what can I say? First, I'll start with a comment in a very neat manner. Say, this code is to introduce you to variables, not master variables, not complete variables, introduce. So it's the first thing that we do. Print code will start here. All right, some simple things that we're doing, just playing around. Code will end here. So all that we will write will be between this. Now, what are variables? Variables are like small storage cells in your program. For example, if I talk about using a simple drawing, look at this box. This box is like a card. And on this, you will have two sets of information. One is a name to it. The other is some type of an information into it. Can you think about in your real life instances, what are those where you have a name to something and you have some information about it? How about your contact list on your cell phones? You have a mobile phone, you have a smartphone. You store a contact list on that. Let's say you have a name called Bob on it. And then what kind of information will you have for Bob? You may have a phone number, correct? And that number will get stored. So now a variable is nothing but a small set of memory that you use where you give it a name and then it has a value into it. Whatever is Bob's number, we will put it here. 1, 2, 3, whatever you want. All right. Now, why do I need to use a variable? Number one, you're going to store it. So whenever you want to call Bob, you want to dial Bob, you will not remember the number. You don't have to remember the number. All you have to say is call Bob or search for Bob in the contact list. Automatically, the number that is stored under that name will come up. In the same way, whenever you want to store information about anything, you put it into a variable and always call the variable. All right, let's implement it. It'll become easy for you to understand. So I will say, let's talk about simple thing like month. What is this month? Right now, I'm in August of 2014. So I'll just call this as August. What I just did, team, is nothing but to create a simple variable. All right. Variable is created below. What is this text in gray? It is our comment. If you notice this, there is a value on the right side of the equation and a name on the left side. I said there is a name called month and there is a value that I'm putting it called August. Now, if I say print and I say month, and let's try and execute this code and see what happens. Save and run. We got code will start here, very good. And we got month. Why did I get month? I'm supposed to get August. And then code will end here. The reason I got month and not August is when I'm calling a variable, I call it by name. Let's say if you are one of the persons who's listening, is, let's say your name is Jack. I call you as Jack and you will respond. If I call you with a different name or something else, you will not. Whenever you want to call a variable, the format is to just call its name without any quotes. The second you start using quotes, it will think that it is a string. String basically means anything that you put in quotes is a string, and it will print that value. Once you put something in the quotes, it will not ignore that. It will take it and do as is. Now, if you look at this code and think about what are the different strings that are there in here, you will see code will start here is a string. What else is a string? August is a string. And then you'll also see month. You'll see month is a string. And you'll also see code will end here is a string. Now, let us run this again and see how it will work. So, code will start here, month, August, code will end here. When I call the variable using its name, the value will get printed. All right. So that is a basic fundamental concept about a variable. Let me now talk about another concept called raw underscore input. What is raw underscore input? As you start seeing each and every program that we run, and we will do a lot of project-based exercises, it will be easy for you to really relate to. You will see we will learn new things. For example, we are learning about 4 or 5 new concepts in this first tutorial. In the second tutorial, we're going to do something more. And we'll keep adding more and more concepts on a daily basis. You start practicing parallelly and you're all set. Raw underscore input is a way by which we collect information from the user. So what raw underscore input will do is it will help you to get information from the console onto the code. What does that mean? So far we've been seeing a way where, let's say this is the code, and let us assume that this one is your console. Right? I'll say rather P for the program and C for the console. So whenever we give a print, it took the information from the code and it displayed it in the console. Correct? Even a variable, if we call like Bob, right, it would display 1, 2, 3 on the console. Raw underscore input will let a user give a input here in the console, and you can take it and store it in the program. Now for storing, what will we use? We just heard we will use variables, and we will also see why they're called as variables. All right. So raw underscore input, the way we will write it, and basically if you write, for example, even if I, before I do this, if I say print and I say like this, all right, not like this. If I say print, all right, this word has got nothing to do with this print. In the sense, for every word, for every command, every keyword that you use, there should be a specific syntax. There should be spelled exactly correct in that way. If I say something like please print, unless it is recognized to do something specifically, it will not execute. What does that mean? You have to give it in an exact format, the format in which it can print it. All right. In the same way, if I say raw underscore input, it has been predefined to be taken in a specific format. What is the format? The format will be like this. Enter a number. Now, if you notice, I have used 2 brackets. Inside that, I use something in quotes. What is this something in quotes? As I was saying earlier, it is a string. Anything that you put in double quotes will become a string automatically. Now, what did I just tell you about raw underscore input? It is a way for you to put something into the console. User can enter something here and it gets captured into the program. So where do you capture it? How do you capture it? You capture it just like you've done when you declared a variable, or rather you started to use a variable. We just said on the right side August, and then on the left side we said month. Quickly a variable got created with the name month and the value August. Now I can create a new variable here, and I'll call this as my number equals raw underscore input. When we do raw underscore input, what will we get? We will get a number that we will enter onto the variable with the name my number. What is the name of this variable team? It is my number. So if I say print my number, it will print the value of that variable. Remember, there is a name and then there is a value for that variable. And you can keep changing the values of the variable, and that is why it is varying, variable, changing. If I repeat this same thing and I say print another number, so I just copied that code and I put here, I'll just say enter another number. And now if I do a print, what will come out? Let's see. So save this and let's execute. Anytime before you execute the code team, you think about it once in your mind. What will happen when you run the code? What will be the output? That will make you start thinking even before you start running the code. And that will be very, very important for you to become a very good programmer. And I'll tell you all these concepts as we go along. So let's run this. Why did it stop at enter a number? Why is it not continuing forward? You remember I told you it's a way for the user to enter some information from console onto the program. Let's say I enter 24 and hit the enter key. The 24 got captured into my number and then it got displayed out here. Now I get again enter another number. So raw underscore input is taking information from the console, storing it in a variable, and you could do something with it. And we're going to say, let's say 48. And now 48 gets printed and your program has finished execution that way. All right, team. So that's just a quick introduction to Python, simple print statements, comments, very, very basic variable as a concept. And we will look at a lot of different types of variables as we go along. And what is raw underscore input? Having done this, it will be easy for us to keep practicing and do something more advanced in the next session. See you then. Thank you. Bye now.